I have a confession to make. Sometimes I'm critical, judgmental, and make false assumptions about things. Case in point, sometimes I see this millennial, this premillennial, millennial, and postmillennial generation, and I see their attitudes, their actions, their morality, um, and and sometimes I just get so angry and just so frustrated, and I make false accusations against them. Oh, they're narcissistic, they're snowflakes, they're self-entitled, they're rude, they're belligerent, they're disrespectful. Um, and that may not be entirely true. Is there some truth to it? Yeah, there's a grain of truth to it. There is some truth to that. But the point is, I'm making blanket, broad stroke, flat out accusations of condemnation, and I'm complaining about something without really looking into it. And I remember one time the Lord convicted me, and he really spoke to me when I was just going on a diatribe and tirade and rant about the younger generations, and just how lazy and self-entitled and everything. And then I was, and I was even praying. I was in prayer, and I was like, Lord, how can they do this? They should know better. And then all of a sudden I heard the Lord say, wait a second. No, they don't know better, because they weren't raised like you. They weren't brought up like you. They weren't taught like you. They don't know what you know. And the Lord had to remind me that we are 2 to 3 generations separated from the churched generation. Back when I was younger, everybody went to church, whether they were Christian or not. Most people went to church. And even if the parents didn't go to church, they would send their kids to church. But now we are 2 to 3 generations where you've had entire generations never set foot in a church. The only thing they know about church and about Christianity and about Messianic Judaism or about religion or about the Judeo-Christian faith is what they see on TV and Hollywood, and that is always a very skewed, jaded, biased, negative view of what the Judeo-Christian faith is. It is a propaganda lie and a falsehood, and it makes Christians look like nut jobs and freaks and gives us a bad name. And so a lot of them have not set foot in church. So in essence, they don't know better. They don't know better, and there's a lot of things that have contributed to the way that the pre-millennial, millennials, and post-millennial generation, why they are the way they are. And a lot of this is the generation gap, the cultural gap, the technology gap, and things like this. It goes very deep in to socioeconomics and sociopolitics and psychology. And there's a great book that I'm in the process of reading now. And if you can get your hands on it, it may help you understand the millennials better. It's called Unscrambling the Millennial Paradox by Ali Anderson. Why the quote-unquote unreachables may be the key to the next great awakening. So a lot of people has given up on the millennial generation, saying that we need to start with this new young generations coming up. They're unreachable, they're untouchable, they're too far gone. When actuality, the author uses statistics and psychology and everything to help us understand why millennials are the way they are, but at the same time shows us how we can minister and reach out to them, and how, even though, yeah, they may have some negative traits, those negative traits also have a counter side of positive traits that could be greatly used for the next revival, the next great awakening, the next great evangelism explosion, if we can grab some of these millennials, and they can come to salvation through faith in Messiah Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And so I was greatly convicted when the Lord said, no, they don't know better. I'm being critical. I'm being judgmental. I'm easy to complain and lay the blame without, being a part of the solution. And therefore, by default, I'm being a part of the problem. And it's It's a heart issue. It's a heart issue. My heart is the one that has the problem, because I'm seeing people that are not like me, that were not raised or taught like me, and that have that display characteristics and traits and habits that are opposite of me, that I was raised and taught to say that these are not good traits, negative traits. I started to grow an anger and an animosity in my heart, and started greatly disliking this younger generation. And it became a heart issue, a heart problem. And guess what? It's a subtle form of pride. It's a subtle form of self-righteousness. And to be perfectly blunt and honest with you, I am still fighting it. I'm still trying to purge it from my heart. And I think every older generation deals with that to some degree. I mean, I'm part of Generation X. And I remember the older people complaining about my generation. Now this generation, oh, they spend too much time glued to their phones. Well, my generation spent too much time glued to the televisions or glued to the Walkman or whatever, right? So each older generation has something negative or something to complain about the younger generation because they weren't raised that way. The technologies, some certain technologies didn't exist when they were that age, etc. So I think every older generation has a problem with the younger generation that is coming behind them to a certain extent and a certain degree, because they don't meet their personal expectations or their personal generational way of life and thinking. And so, yeah, I'm getting old enough to where I'm falling into that. So, yeah, I guess I'm growing into be that proverbial grumpy old man. But at least I recognize it and I'm confessing it so it'll lose its grip and its power on me, so I could begin that journey of healing and purging my heart of that self-righteous, prideful feelings that are against this generation that's coming up, because down deep I do love them. I don't want them to be lost. I want to see them saved. I want to see them productive and successful, and just simply complaining and pointing out what's wrong is not going to help them. To be a part of the solution, I need to look on the flip side and see what their positive traits are and try to draw out those positive traits in them. And what am I doing to mentor a young person? Honestly, really, you know? So it's my fault. Part of it's my fault. Part of it's my problem, and it's a hard issue that I'm currently dealing and struggling with. So I'm just being perfectly blunt and honest and confessing to you. I probably could have been a really great youth leader 20 years ago because I'm closer to that generation and I could relate easier. To be honest with you, this generation that's here right now, this young generation, is an enigma. It's a question mark. I don't know the first thing or the first thing to do on how to approach them in order to make a difference. So yeah, I'm learning, and I've got to learn and I've got to adapt, because it's part of my responsibility to reach this millennial generation, this current and post millennial generation that's there now. Um, it's our responsibility, and so I'm making this raw confessional to you, hoping that it will help change my heart, and I can get on that path to healing and recovery. And hopefully that maybe if you're having the same issue and have the same feelings as I do, and maybe you can say, hey, I can make that same confession you did, that God will start dealing with your heart and radically changing your heart as well, so that you could be equipped and involved in reaching this current generation that we're surrounded by. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for understanding. Thanks for showing love, grace, and compassion when I make these confessions, because, it's very vulnerable and I put myself out there. A lot of people can point the finger and say, oh, yeah, you're this or you're that, but hey, at least I'm being honest. I'm not lying about who or what I am or what I feel. And like I've said before, the power of confession is that when you confess, that particular sin or that particular negative thing that you're dealing with loses its grip and power because it's in the light. It's out in the open. Everybody knows about it. And you have greater power to overcome it and put it under your feet. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Love one another. God bless. Abraham'sDescendants.com, getting back to the first century in a 21st century way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press the like button as well as the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell that'll let you know every time I make a new video.
And don't forget to share this with a friend. Also, visit our website at abrahamsdescendants.com. Thanks. Shalom.
Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at abrahamsdescendants.com.